Good morning, Year 6. Today we are going to continue our learning with ratio. Just a warning at the beginning of this lesson, some of you might find this a little bit tricky, so it's really important to make sure you're following the steps to success. If you follow my steps to success and you're listening carefully, you'll be able to follow this lesson and it will be absolutely fine. We're going to start off with our arithmetic. This is Arithmetic Silly Mistakes Edition. 6 questions, simple questions, but all of these questions contain a silly mistake that children often make. So can I ask you please to pause the video and have a go at these 6 questions? Off you go. Okay, I'm going to start going through the answers now, so make sure you've answered all 6 questions and make sure you haven't fallen in any of the traps. When you multiply by 0, the answer is 0. Here we're dividing by 1, the number remains the same. Here, this is not a missing number problem. Some of you just see that the number you're looking for is at the beginning and assume that you've got to do the inverse. No, it's just 5,739 add 29. This one here was BIDMAS. Make sure you do 5 times 3 to get 15 and then add the 4, missing 10. And then I just want to talk about question 6. If you're choosing to do these questions and you're choosing to do it as a multiplication 3/4 times 48 over 1, that's absolutely fine. But when you've finished doing 48 times 3 up here, which takes a little while, 48 times 3 or 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 4 is 12, add 2 is 144. 144 over 4, you cannot leave your answer like that. That's the silly mistake that some children make. Please remember, when you are multiplying fractions, and only for multiplying fractions, you need to convert them back down to a single into a whole number. For me, though, the easiest way to answer that question wouldn't have been doing it like that. Remember that when you're doing fractions, times means the same as of. So 3/4 of 48 would be much easier. 1/4 is 12, 3/4 then is 36. You would have got the answer 36 if you did 144 divided by 4, but there's a lot more challenging calculations doing it that way than this method, which can all be done mentally. Okay, your reasoning today then, you've got the 10 shapes in front of you. I want you to just write the numbers 1 to 10 and write down the names of these shapes. For example, number 1, you would write down circle. Please be careful with the spelling. There's some very tricky spellings in these shapes. So please pause the video now and write down the names of these 10 shapes. I'm going to go through the answers now, so please make sure you've written down the names of all 10 of these shapes. You can see that I'm removing that so you can see the names of them. So you've got circle, oval, triangle, square, trapezium, diamond, rhombus, parallelogram, rectangle and pentagon. Those are all of your shapes, and you can see as well they've been organised by colour. For example, all of the yellow ones are quadrilaterals. Right, it's time to get started on today's learning. I can see I've forgotten to give you a do now, so you're just going to write the date and WALT for me. Please pause the video and write the date and WALT for today's lesson. Yesterday, we were talking about ratio, and we said, for example, if you've got a ratio of 2 to 4, in terms of for every 2 red circles, there must be 4 blue circles, then that ratio can be used to find however many there will be. For example, let's say there's 2 reds. If every time I do 2 reds, I need to do 4 blue. Today, we're going to be looking at word problems involving ratio, so you need to make sure you're really confident with the basics. Remember that it does matter very much what order you're going in. Red is 2 and blue is 4. It will probably take you a little while and several examples to feel confident with this piece of work, and don't worry about that. Just keep on watching. There's many examples that I'm going to do. You keep on watching those examples, and as soon as you start feeling confident, you can start joining in with the work. Don't worry about joining in until you're feeling confident with the work, and make sure you're watching me follow all of the steps. So I'm going to read you the question first. In a fruit bowl, there were 2 oranges for every 3 apples. If there are 15 apples, how many oranges are there? Now, these steps to success, if you follow them, these ones, they will work for every single ratio problem that you have. So we're going to make sure we're following these 5 steps to success. Step number 1 says establish each side of the ratio. That just means write down your letters so that you know which side is which. There are 2 oranges, so I'm going to write O on this side for oranges, with my colon in the middle for every 3 apples. I'm going to write A on this side. Notice how I've given the colon its own box, and that's because later you might end up with some 2-digit numbers. So spread it out a little bit, that's absolutely fine. Establish the ratio on each side. On the left is oranges, on the right is apples. That's all that means. Step 2 is to express your information as a ratio. Now I'm just going to fill in my information. 2 oranges for 3 apples. So underneath the oranges, I'll put 2. Underneath the apples, I'm going to put 3. Okay, step 3 now. You need to do this step for every single problem, but it might not be needed in the answer for each problem, but you need to use it in all of them to get in the good habit. And that is to write the total to the side. So I've written oranges, there are 2, apples, there are 3. In total then, how many fruits are there? There are 5 fruits. So far then, I've established my ratio. I've got my oranges, my apples, and on the right-hand side, I've got the total. Step 4 is to fill in my known value. So my basic ratio says 2 oranges for every 3 apples. In the question then it says, if there are 15 apples, how many oranges are there? So in this one, I know that the apples is 15. Can you see why it's important to give the colon its own box? Because now I've got a 2-digit number. I know that there are 15 apples. So underneath apples, not under the O for oranges, not under the T for total, but under A for apples, I will put 15 because I already know there are 15 apples. My question asks me how many oranges are there? So in order to calculate that, I'm going to use my equivalences just like with fractions. How do I get from 3 to 15? What have I multiplied by? 3 times 5. I now need to multiply all of these numbers by 5. 2 times 5 is 10 and 5 times 5 is 25. Now I have all of the information for both the ratio and in the problem. I need to now just write my answer. How many oranges are there? Look in the orange section. How many oranges? There are 10 oranges. Now, I know that's a lot of steps and I don't expect anyone to be confident with this already. That's why I'm going to show you lots of examples, so please make sure you keep on watching the examples, and as soon as you start feeling confident, you can start trying to solve them as I'm solving them. Let's do another one then. Stephen is buying some potatoes and onions to make a soup. For every 2 potatoes, he needs 1 onion. If he uses 4 potatoes, how many vegetables does he use in total? Step 1, establish each side of my ratio. What are the 2 items I could have? There's potatoes, there's onions, I'm going to even give myself even more space this time, and there's the total. Oh, wait, I'll do the total after. There's potatoes or there's onions. Step 2, express that as a ratio. For every 2 potatoes, he needs 1 onion. So I'll put my 2 under potatoes, 1 under onion. Step 3, now I'm going to do my total. T for total over here. If there's 2 potatoes and 1 onion, that's 3 vegetables in total. Now I need to read the question and fill in my known value. If he uses 4 potatoes, how many vegetables did he use in total? I know the potatoes, so I'll go to P for potatoes and fill in 4. My final step then is to use that fact to find an equivalence. In this one, where I've got both pieces of information, I can see what I've multiplied by. To get from 2 to 4, I have to times by 2. So now I'm going to multiply everything by 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now we have to go back and actually work out what the question is asking us. How many vegetables did he use in total? Is my answer going to be 4, 2, or 6? Potatoes, onions, or total? How many vegetables? Well done if you've said 6. I'd now write my sentence. He used 6 vegetables. When you're doing your independent work, I expect to see all 3 of these columns and a sentence for your answer. You can't just leave it without the answer because that just says 426. How many vegetables did he use? We need to actually express that part. We'll do some more then. Lucy has a necklace which has red beads and blue beads. For every red bead, there are 4 blue beads. There are 20 beads in total. How many of these are blue? If you want to, you can start pausing the video and having a go at these questions, but otherwise just keep watching me. Establish each side of the ratio. So there's red beads and blue beads. I'll probably just use R and B for red and blue. Step 2, express that as a ratio. For every red bead, there are 4 blue beads. So that's 1 red for 4 blue. Now find your total on the side. Total goes here, and 1 plus 4 is 5. 1 bead plus 4 beads makes 5 beads. Okay, now go back to the question and fill in the known value. There are 20 beads in total. 20 beads in total. That's not red, that's not blue, that's total. So I'll fill in 20 for the total. Now I use my equivalences. How do I get from 5 to 20? I look in the column where I've got everything. I'm timesing by 4, so I times everything by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and then we've already got 20 there. My question asks me how many beads are blue, so I need to look in the, not in red, but in blue. 16 beads were blue. I know that there's a lot of steps, but it's really important for you to remember if you just follow each of these steps, you will be able to find your answer. These steps work for every single ratio problem, so it's really important we get plenty of practice. Okay, let's have a go into another one then. Freya is picking strawberries. For every 5 strawberries she puts in her basket, she eats 2 of them. If she picks 28 strawberries, how many does she eat and how many does she put in her basket? First, what are my 2 groups? I've got strawberries she puts in her basket and strawberries she eats. So I'll use B for basket and I'll use E for eats. Doesn't really matter which letter you use, to be honest, so long as it makes sense for yourself. Now, what's that ratio? 5 in the basket, and that's 2 that's being eaten. Okay, time to fill in the total column then. The total, 5 add 2 is 7. 5 in the basket, 2 in her mouth, 7 in total. Now it's time to fill in the known value from the question. If she picks 28 strawberries, how many does she eat and how many go in her basket? She picks 28 strawberries. It doesn't tell me if they're basket or eaten ones because it's actually the total. The total is 28 strawberries. So I fill in my known value. And finally now, what are my equivalences? How do I get from 7 to 28? 7, 14, 21, 28. I've times by 4. So I now need to times everything by 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. And we've already got 28. My question asks me, how many does she eat and how many does she put in her basket? That means there's 2 parts to my answer. I need to say she eats 8 and she puts 20 in the basket. Remember, that makes 28 in total, like the question asked us. Well done if you were following me for that one. Okay, this is the first one that I'm going to ask you to have a go at by yourself. If you want to, you can watch me do, you can pause and unpause each step as you go if you're feeling like there's quite a lot of steps to do. Otherwise, just pause the video now and do the whole question. Or you can pause the video in between each step, it's up to you. Establish each side of the ratio. Pause the video and do that if you want. In a school choir, there are 30 children. The ratio of girls to boys is 4 to 1. Establishing each side of the ratio will be G to B. Oh, I'm going to spread those out a little bit more. I've got girls and I've got boys. Okay, pause the video for step 2 if you want to express as a ratio. Otherwise, I'm just going to tell you this bit as a ratio. Girls to boys, there are 4 girls and 1 boy. Well done. Step 3 is to find the total. Pause the video if you want to do it step by step. Otherwise, I'm going to do it now. Total goes here. 4 girls and 1 boy. In total, that's 5 children. Good. Step 4, fill in the known value. Pause the video if you want to do it step by step. In the school choir, there are 30 children. So that's my known value. That goes down here, 30 children. Step 5, find equivalences. Pause the video and do that if you want to do it step by step. Okay, what do I times 5 by to make 30? 5 times 6. Let's times everything by 6 then. 4 times 6 is 24 and 1 times 6 is 6. Let's check, do they add together to make 30? 24 and 6 is 30. Good. Now, that isn't finished because all I've done is my calculation. I haven't actually written the answer. The question says how many boys are in the choir. Look in boys. There are 6 boys in the choir. Well done if you got that. If you didn't get that one, please just go back and rewatch the video as I'm going through each example step by step. Remember, you've got your steps to success on the side, and this is very similar skills that you would use when you're finding equivalent fractions. A bag of sweets contains red sweets and yellow sweets. The ratio of red to yellow sweets is 3 to 7. If there are 40 sweets altogether, how many yellow sweets are there? Pause the video now and have a go at this question. Remember to use the steps to success and lay it out like I've shown you in the other questions. Okay, so if you want to do it step by step, you can watch me going through each step. Step 1, establish each side of the ratio, red sweets and yellow sweets. R, yellow. Step 2, write that ratio. For every red to yellow sweets, the ratio is 3 to 7, so I'll put that there, 3 to 7. Now find the total. T to the side, 3 add 7 is 10. Step 4, fill in the known value. 40 sweets altogether. Okay, that goes down here, 40 altogether. Find the equivalences. What have I times 10 by to make 40? I've times it by 4, times everything by 4 then. 12 and 28. Now, if you stopped there, you didn't actually answer the question. The question has asked you how many yellow sweets are there. So there are 28 yellow sweets. Well done if you got that. Okay, let's have a look at this question where it's represented in a diagram. 2 matchsticks have the same length as 3 bottle tops. That means my 2 values are matchsticks and bottle tops. For every 2 matchsticks, I have 3 bottle tops. Now I'm going to write my total to the side. T, how many items is that in total? 5 items. Now time to fill in the known value. How many bottle tops will have the same length as 50 matchsticks? I need to go to matchsticks and I need to put 50. Okay, what have I times by? Find my equivalences. To get from 2 to 50, I times by 25. Well done if you said that. 3 times 25 is 75 and 5 times 25 is going to be 125, I think, but I've done that in my head very quickly, so I may well be wrong. I'll just double check. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 125. Now we need to make sure we're actually answering the question, how many bottle tops will there be? B for bottle tops, there will be 75 bottle tops. Okay. You might also be asked a reasoning question like this. A shopkeeper is organising the drinks in the shelf. She wants to drink the following ratio of 3 cherry to every 2 cola and 1 soda. Have these drinks been arranged correctly? Right. For these questions, I would present it as the formula that we've looked at. I'm going to put ch for cherry, co for cola, and s for soda. Now, I want to put my formula. 3 cherry, 2 cola, 1 soda. Has she arranged these drinks correctly? Well, let's count up what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cherries. How many colas? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 colas. How many sodas? 1, 2, 3. Okay, now using your knowledge of equivalences, you've got to work out if each has been times by the same amount. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. That tells me we've got too many sodas. So if I was doing this one then, Luca chooses 3 colours for a stripy scarf and decides he wants to use the ratio of 1 red for every blue and green. So that's 1 red, 4 blue and 3 green. Has this scarf been knitted correctly? Let's count up what he's got. 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 reds. How many blues has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got 8 in the blue column. Already, I'm seeing a slight issue. How many greens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's check if this is equivalent then. 1 times 3 makes 3. 4 times 3, oh, that's 12. And 3 times 3 is 9. Has he knitted his scarf correctly? No, he hasn't. He needs to take it all apart and restart. All right. These are your independent questions. You can answer them from the task sheet, or I think I would recommend doing them on the paper, on your piece of paper from the video so that you can listen to me read them all out. I'm going to read to you each of the questions and you can just pause as we go through. Okay, make sure you're using these steps to success, which are here, and there's an example down here. But as you can see from the example, that's actually not complete because you haven't written out the answer. There are of whatevers. But you have got that presentation of how to do your calculations. So I'll read you question 1 and then you can pause it and have a go. There are some red and blue counters in a bag. The ratio of red to blue counters is 4 to 5. If there are 16 red counters, how many blue counters are there? There are some roses. Question 2. There are some roses and bluebells in a field with a ratio of 6 to 2. If there are 42 roses, how many bluebells are there? Question 3. Jack has 30 sweets. He shares his sweets with his friend. He gives his friend a sweet. When he gives his friend a sweet, he has 2 for himself. How many sweets do they each have? Stephen is buying some potatoes and onion to make a soup. For every 4 potatoes, he needs 3 onions. If he uses 12 potatoes, how many vegetables did he use in total? I should see all of these steps and your answers. Okay, that question is a repeat. In a field, there's some sheep and some goats. The ratio of sheep and goats is 3 to 1. If there are 3 goats, how many sheep are there? Lucy has a necklace which has green beads and yellow beads. For every green bead, there are 6 yellow beads. If her necklace has 21 beads in total, how many yellow beads are there? In a football club, there are 25 children. The ratio of girls to boys is 2 to 3. How many girls are in the football club? Now, these ones you can skip if you're finding that you found it quite challenging. So there's 2 extra challenge questions here. They're slightly more challenging because this one here, this one you have an extra word problem at the end of it, and in this one you'll notice it's a 3-way ratio. You've got caramel, truffles and fudge, but it's answered in exactly the same way. So if you want to, have a go at these challenge questions as well, because I'm about to start going through the answers. Oh, and sorry, I forgot, you've got some reasoning questions too. Try at least one of them. They're just like the ones I showed you before. So write out your ratio. Let's say this one here, you're arranging your yellow flowers and your red flowers. Write the ratio and check if that's an equivalent ratio. Okay, I'm going to start going through the answers. Well done if you have been working really hard and persevering. I'd be very impressed at anyone who's managed to get all of these questions done. Okay, I'm just going to go through the answers because I don't necessarily want to show you the working out for all of them because I need to see whether or not you've done it correctly yourself. But for some of them, I'm going to show you how you could have done it. So question 1, Question 1, 20 counters, 2, 14 bluebells, 3, Jack has 30, his friend has 15. Looking at question 4 now, Stephen's buying some potatoes, so you should have had potatoes and onions and your total here. There's 4 potatoes and he uses 3 onions. In total, that's 7 vegetables. If he uses 12 potatoes, I'm timesing everything by 3, so that would be 9 and that would be 21. How many vegetables did he use in total? The actual answer is 21. He used 21 vegetables in total. Okay, in a field of sheep, that one's been done, but question 6, we're going to go through it. Lucy has a necklace which has got green beads and yellow beads. My total will go here. For every green bead, there are 6 yellow beads. That's a total of 7. If her necklace uses 21 beads in total, how many yellow beads are there? I can see I've times by 3, so I'll times everything by 3. That would be 18, and that would be 3. How many yellow beads are there? There are 18 yellow beads. Question 7 then. In a football club, there are 25 children. The ratio of girls to boys is 2 to 3, making my total 5. And the total of the football club is 25, so what have I timesed everything by? Timesed everything by 5, that would be 15, that would be 10. How many girls are there? There are 10 girls in the football club. Okay, and then these challenge ones, if you did them, really well done. Kitty has a bag of balloons. For every 1 green balloon, there are 2 blue balloons and 3 red balloons. Sorry, this one had 3 as well, making my total 6. If a bag contains 24 balloons in total, how many of the balloons were red? Now here I'm timesing everything by 4. So that would be 12, that would be 8, and that would be 4. How many of them are red? 12 are red. How many more balloons were blue than green? How many more balloons were blue than green? 8 take away 4 is equal to 4. 4 more. Well done. And then question 10, it says, Sinead has a box of chocolates. For every 1 caramel, there are 4 truffles and, for every 1 caramel, there are 4 truffles and 7 fudges. Let's work out the total then. I'll write total because I've already put T there. 1 add 4 is 5, add 12 is going to be, add 7 is going to be 12. In a box, there are 44 truffles. How many chocolates are in the box altogether? What have I multiplied that by? I've times by 11. So times everything by 11, that's 11, 77, and 12 times 11 is 131. There are 131 chocolates. Sinead has a smaller box with only 39 chocolates in it. How many of them are fudges? So we're going to go back here and we're going to say now there are 39 chocolates in the box. How do we get from 12 to 39? Miss Graham's made a horrible mistake. That number should have been 36. I apologise to anyone who attempted this question and got stuck on it. We can't really get from 12 to 39. That should have been 36. I am sorry. Okay, let's look then. Nope, I'm not going to go through the reasoning because I think it's important for you to have a go, upload it if you've done it. Really well done to everyone who's persevered with today's lesson. I know it's tricky, but I'm really impressed with everyone who's kept on going, and don't forget to upload your work onto Seesaw. Okay, I'll see you all tomorrow for another lesson, and well done for working hard.